The December wind whistled through the concrete canyons of Manhattan, carrying snowflakes that danced in the glow of street lamps. Dr. Olivia Jackson pulled her wool coat tighter around her scrubs as she stepped out of NYU Langone Medical Center. After a grueling 16-hour shift in the emergency room, her mind was filled with the faces of patients she'd treated: a child with a broken arm, an elderly man with pneumonia, countless others seeking help on this cold winter night. The city was transformed for Christmas, with twinkling lights strung across buildings and the distant sparkle of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree piercing the darkness. But Olivia barely noticed. Her thoughts were already drifting to her warm apartment and the few hours of sleep she could catch before her next shift. Walking past the historic Apollo Theater, its neon lights reflecting off the fresh snow, she heard a faint sound that made her stop. There, huddled against a building's heating vent, was an orange tabby cat. Its fur was matted, and it held one paw carefully off the ground, letting out occasional pitiful mews. "Hey there, little one," Olivia said softly, crouching down. The cat's eyes were glassy with fever, and its breathing seemed labored. Years of medical training kicked in, and though her specialty was human medicine, she could tell this animal needed help fast. Checking her phone, she found that most veterinary clinics were closed at this late hour. But the Manhattan Animal Rescue Center was open 24/7 for emergencies. Without hesitation, she took off her scarf, gently wrapped the trembling cat, and cradled it against her chest. The rescue center was a converted brownstone, its windows glowing warmly in the night. A bell chimed as Olivia pushed open the door, bringing with it a gust of snow and cold air. "I'll be right there," a voice called from the back. Moments later, a tall man with kind eyes and disheveled brown hair emerged, wearing a navy blue rescue center sweatshirt. His name tag read, Michael Foster. "What do we have here?" he asked, immediately focusing on the bundle in Olivia's arms. "Found this little one by the Apollo. Fever, limping, respiratory distress," Olivia reported, unconsciously falling into her professional manner of presenting cases. Michael's eyebrows rose slightly at her clinical assessment as he gently took the cat. "Are you in the medical field?" "Emergency medicine at NYU Langone," she replied, following him to an examination table. "Though I'll admit, my feline patient care is a bit rusty." He smiled as he carefully unwrapped the cat. "Well, doctor, your diagnosis seems spot on. This guy's got an infected wound on his paw and what sounds like an upper respiratory infection." His hands moved expertly over the cat, checking vital signs and examining the injury. For the next hour, Olivia found herself assisting Michael as he cleaned the wound, administered antibiotics, and set up a warming station for the cat. She noticed how he spoke softly to the animal throughout the treatment, his movements gentle but confident. "He's lucky you found him," Michael said as they watched the cat settle into a heated bed, already looking more comfortable. "Another night out there." He let the sentence hang. "Will he be okay?" Olivia asked, surprised by how invested she already felt in this small creature's welfare. "With proper care, yes. But he'll need close monitoring for the next few days." Michael hesitated, then added, "You're welcome to come check on him if you'd like." Olivia found herself smiling despite her exhaustion. "I'd like that." Over the next few days, Olivia made it a point to stop by the rescue center after her shifts. She learned that Michael had been working there for 5 years, leaving a corporate photography job to pursue his passion for animal welfare. He still did photography on the side, capturing the city's vibrant life through his lens. Michael discovered that Olivia was the daughter of educators from Harlem. Her father taught advanced mathematics at Frederick Douglass Academy, and her mother was principal at PS 185. Their emphasis on education and service to the community had shaped Olivia's path to medicine. The cat, whom they'd started calling Apollo after the location where he was found, improved steadily under their care. His personality emerged, playful and affectionate, despite his rough start in life. On December 23rd, Olivia arrived at the center to find Michael looking worried. "Apollo's fever is back," he explained, leading her to the recovery area. "And he's not eating." They spent that evening monitoring the cat's condition, taking turns checking his temperature and trying to coax him to drink water. As the night deepened, they shared coffee and stories. "What made you leave corporate photography?" Olivia asked during one of their quiet moments. Michael was quiet for a moment, absently stroking Apollo's head. "I was shooting a campaign in Brooklyn, and there was this stray dog that kept hanging around the set. Everyone shooed him away, but I couldn't stop thinking about him. After the shoot, I spent hours looking for him, finally found him, and got him to a shelter." He smiled at the memory. "That's when I realized I was more concerned about that dog than any photo shoot. The next week, I started volunteering here." Olivia nodded, understanding completely. "Sometimes you just know when something is right. That's how I felt my first day in the ER. Chaos everywhere, but I'd never felt more certain about anything." Around midnight, Michael insisted Olivia get some rest before her shift the next day. I'll stay with him, he promised. Go home. Instead, Olivia pulled up a chair. I've pulled plenty of all-nighters before. Besides, it's almost Christmas Eve. No one should be alone. As if on cue, snow began falling outside the windows, transforming the city's streets into a peaceful wonderland. Michael disappeared briefly and returned with 2 cups of hot chocolate and a playlist of soft jazz Christmas music. My contribution to the night shift, he said, handing her a cup. Though probably not as good as what you'd hear at your family's Christmas celebrations. Olivia laughed. You should come and see for yourself. My family hosts a community celebration every Christmas Eve. Food, music, the works. Half of Harlem seems to show up. I'd love to, Michael replied, his eyes warm. They talked through the night, sharing Christmas memories and traditions. Michael told her about his family's German heritage and their tradition of opening presents on Christmas Eve. Olivia described the soul food feasts and impromptu jazz sessions that characterized her family's celebrations. As dawn approached on Christmas Eve, Apollo's fever finally broke. He lifted his head and meowed softly, accepting a few bites of food for the first time in hours. Now that's what I call a Christmas miracle, Michael said, relief evident in his voice. Olivia watched as he gently checked Apollo's temperature one last time, struck by how this man's dedication to caring for animals matched her own commitment to her patients. So, she said, gathering her courage, about that community celebration tonight. I wouldn't miss it, Michael replied with a smile. That evening, Michael found himself in the warm chaos of the Jackson family's Christmas Eve gathering. The house was filled with the sounds of jazz and gospel music, laughter, and animated conversations. String lights twinkled everywhere, and the aroma of traditional holiday dishes filled the air. Olivia's parents welcomed him warmly, her father engaging him in a discussion about photography while her mother insisted on filling his plate with her famous sweet potato pie. Throughout the evening, Olivia watched as Michael charmed her family and fit seamlessly into the celebration, even joining in when someone started an impromptu carol session. Later, they escaped to the front porch for a moment of quiet. The snow was falling again, muffling the sounds of the city. Thank you for inviting me, Michael said softly. This is magical. Olivia smiled, watching the snowflakes catch in his hair. Thank you for saving Apollo. We saved him together, he corrected, then added hesitantly, I was thinking, once he's fully recovered, he'll need a home. Are you suggesting joint custody? Olivia asked, her heart beating a little faster. I'm suggesting we could figure it out together, Michael replied, taking her hand. The next morning, Christmas Day, they returned to the rescue center together. Apollo greeted them with a loud purr, fully recovered and ready for attention. As they stood watching their miracle cat play with a ribbon from the center's Christmas tree, Michael turned to Olivia. You know, I've been working on a photography project documenting Christmas traditions across different New York communities. Would you like to see it? Olivia squeezed his hand. I'd love to. They spent Christmas afternoon in Michael's studio in Brooklyn Heights, looking through his photographs while Apollo explored his new surroundings. Through Michael's lens, Olivia saw her city in a new light. The diverse celebrations, the shared joy, the countless ways people came together during the holiday season. As they stood by the studio's windows, watching the snow fall over the Brooklyn Bridge, Olivia realized that sometimes the best Christmas miracles aren't the dramatic ones. Sometimes they're as simple as finding a sick cat, meeting a kind soul, and discovering that love can bloom in the most unexpected places. Together, they had created their own Christmas miracle, one that began with compassion for a small orange cat and grew into something beautiful and lasting. As the city glowed with holiday lights below them, Olivia and Michael shared their first kiss, while Apollo purred contentedly at their feet, home at last.